Welcome to episode 4 of Fearless Female Founders, Season 1, Let's Go. Throughout the season, Kylie and I have been sharing learnings and experiences from our own entrepreneurial journeys. Our hope is to create a community that is supportive and honest and lets you know that you're not in this alone. In this episode, it's all about your tribe. You know the old saying, it takes a village? Well, that's no different in business. We're so glad to have Heidi with us, who has a super cool job that I'll let her tell you all about. And we're so glad that you're here. So let's dive in.
Welcome, Heidi.
Hi, ladies. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Why don't you jump in and kind of talk about who you are and what you do and how you got there?
I have had a fascination with jewelry or just the gemstone since I can pinpoint it, 6th grade. So there's always been a passion, fascination, the science, but also the art and the beauty of all of it since 6th grade. I went to school at University of Iowa for art and business. And there I jumped into working for a family-owned jewelry store. Shout out to Hans Jewelers. They taught me a lot there. And so I learned and really started my jewelry career there back in 2006, which was a hot minute ago. But from there, I learned the art of customer service and how important it is to treat everyone equally, no matter what their background comes in at, and we can make anything happen with any budget. So that's where I started working. And then I left the jewelry industry, went into financial planning for 11 years. And then we moved to Omaha in 2018. And I had the itch, you could say, of the creativity was missing in my life. And so I was kind of just in the trenches of moving, having to start over again. Financial planning is also entrepreneurship, and I did learn a lot of wonderful things from there. And I was just not happy anymore. So I randomly bumped into 3 girls, friends, neighbors, and someone through junior league, and they were looking to get engaged. I'm like, oh, I have connections still, which I do, and I did at that time, to the jewelry industry. If your boyfriends ever want to reach out to me, I can get you connected. No pressure, easy peasy. All 3 of them reached out to me that spring, and I was like, oh my God. So it was one of those things where I'm like, I miss this so much. So that started the push of starting my own kind of as a side hustle to kind of get it off the ground. And I'm happy to say I've been a year full-time since last year, November 23. I've completed my first full year. I didn't think it would happen this fast. So I'm
amazing.
where I need to
be. Congratulations.
So amazing. So you had the spring, they reached out to you. And then I remember I met you September of that year at a networking event.
Yeah.
And you were putting your notice in and working through all that. So kind of like a 6-7 month period of like, okay, I have the itch and I'm like going to do it. Is that kind of how it worked for you?
Well, so in 2020 is actually when I got my LLC to make it legal. The year prior, so 2019 is when I had those 3 customers, and literally through the old jewelry store shipped me diamonds, and I sold them through that store essentially.
Okay. Got it.
And then I was like, I can do this myself. Like, I learned so much from them. So 2020 is April of 2020 is when I started that fun year. When I started it, but truly just as a very minor side hustle, just to be able to help people. And then, it grew. So then I got to quit.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
It's really fun to hear, I know you through a network, and we're talking about your tribe and how networks can help support your small business, but even like your connections with the local jewelry store or the connections with your friends, everything kind of just like comes back to the community that you've built. So talk to us a little bit about how you started, cultivating community, maybe along your entrepreneurship journey and kind of what it looks like today.
Yeah. Well, I will say when you're in a niche industry, you will realize how small really the network is. I mean, it's vast, but yet it's so small. This is an example of how small it is. When I worked at the jewelry store, there was a jeweler here in Omaha that does these custom little baseballs or football jewelry. And we had never had Hawkeye jewelry at the store because we always did fine jewelry there, not base metal stuff. Anyways, so we hired them on, and then I moved to Omaha, and then my mentor at Hans Jewelers had said, "Do you know who lives in Omaha?" And I'm like, "No," and he's like, "Matt," and I'm like, "Oh my God!" So it just goes to show you, and he's helped me with several projects on the fly that I needed done, and I help them out when I can too. So um, that has shown me how much connections work. And then they referred me to another jeweler that can help me with my repair work. So had I not reached out to him, I would have never had a local person to help me with my repairs. And so it just spreads like a web. Like it's amazing. So um, that was really helpful getting started. And then, like you had mentioned, Kylie, networking. There's a lot of local network groups that have really helped get me connected because I'm not from Omaha. So, when you're a solopreneur, people don't know you. There's no way for them to buy from you. So getting out there and meeting people has really helped in finding the right people to be surrounded by is so important because there's the fake people, and then there's the people who genuinely want to see you succeed and help. Find those people. It's so important.
I think it's important too to talk about the different types of community and networking, because in my mind there's like sort of different elements to it. Like one is the element of having your network that's more people and colleagues that you can lean on for referrals, or people you've worked with in the past that now that you're out on your own, they might say, "Hey, I really like working with you. I want to come work with you again." And in this new capacity that you're in, that's sort of an element of it. And then there's this element of just having a community for support, not necessarily like contributing to your business or becoming customers, but just there for you. They're in your corner and they can, like all of us, right? Like we know what it's like to be in the trenches and growing your business, and just having some of those people to call up and vent because you had a difficult customer or something happened and you're just like, "Hey, what do you think about this? Like what should I do about this?" And I think those things are really important too.
Oh, for sure. Kylie and I have talked about this too. Solopreneurship is so lonely. It's sad that it's lonely. You wouldn't think it would because you're always out talking and meeting people. But that's like the face of it. But the inside of knowing who you can almost trust to like divulge all your stressors or your success, like you should be able to, "Hey, I just had a killer sale, I want to celebrate," and not feel like you're
Mm-hmm.
boasting, right? Because I mean, I feel like as women too, we always are more like, "Oh, don't be boastful," but like if you're a guy, you can be like, "I just nailed this huge sale, like let's go out for beers." But like it's weird as a difference. So I found that interesting. But finding the right people who genuinely are there to help you, or they've been where you've been because they're like 10 years into their business and you're in year two. Um, they've been through what you're going through, and you'd be able to just share with them, "I have $200 to my name right now. Like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? How can I turn this around?" And like genuinely feel comfortable enough to be that vulnerable. Those are the people you need to surround yourself with for sure.
Yeah. I think that's really cool that you mentioned finding someone who's kind of been where you are, because the road through starting a business and growing your business is always bumpy, I feel like. You always kind of feel like, well, I'll just get to this point and then it's going to be smooth sailing. And then you turn around and you're like, "Oh crap, here's
It
like what do I
is.
do now? What do I do with this?" And it's just always kind of coming at you no matter what. And you've got to like learn to ride those waves, but
Yeah.
but
Whew,
it's
it can
also
be
nice
hard.
having, yeah, it's just also nice like having people be like, "Hey, yep, I've been there." You're like, "Okay, it's not just me."
I had a life coach at one of the agencies I worked at. One of the benefits was you got to meet with a life coach once a month, which was a really
That's
neat
nice.
benefit. And she always said, like, your goal is like at the top, right? And you almost think it's going to be linear. Like, I'm going to open the studio, I'm going to open the business, and it's going to go straight up and it's going to be great. And really, the journey is very, like, not linear. It's to the side. And it's like kind of what you said, Heidi. It's just this journey of like, how do you get back on the road that's not straight? And I think you really do need to have the mindset that it's not going to be easy, right? It's going to be a journey, but also how do you cultivate people around you that you find the good eggs that can support you and, bring you up. So Heidi, tell us a little bit about how you've been able to find people like that or community within Omaha. Because I know just personally, Heidi and I are in a Center Sphere group, which is a networking group based here in Omaha. But Heidi's part of other groups too. So Heidi, kind of how did you find those groups and what do you enjoy about them?
So here's my answer. Trial and error.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to that and being okay if you were to go try a new group out and just really find the groups that fit you, because it's okay to bow out. And then when you do find your people, it's like this light comes down and you're like, oh, it really, you're like, oh, this is what I was looking for. And then it really shows you how dramatically different the other groups that you said no to, why they weren't the right fit. So, I met a few other ladies, ironically, Leslie from our group too. And she has another really good networking group for primarily women business owners. Not to say that it is exclusive to women, but primarily it seems to be women there. And we're all individual business owners, not working for somebody. So it allows us to go through and talk around the table like, hey, does anyone want to sit in the hot seat today to talk about something more in depth? And we can all, power shoot that for you, mastermind it or whatever. That has been helpful. And they're all very like-minded women. We all want everyone to succeed genuinely. And the trust I felt was just almost instant with them. So being able to divulge numbers, right? Numbers are scary to just put out there in the world because you don't know who's going to genuinely keep that private or blurb it. So
absolutely.
That's been really helpful. Listening to podcasts, I've gotten a lot of great information from other women business owner podcasts. So I love that you guys started this one. So those are the ones that I have found that have been the most beneficial after saying no to several.
I think that's really important to underline. It's okay to bow out and be like, this isn't a fit for me.
Yeah.
I find that was a struggle for me personally starting off because I just was too nice. Like I just felt like, well, I signed up for this, so I just got to stick it out and stick with it when it wasn't, I knew pretty quickly that it wasn't a good fit. And as an entrepreneur, you don't have time for that. Like you cannot. No. Your time is just so stretched, so thin already that you just have to like recognize that this isn't a fit and make a decision to, and respectfully, we don't want to burn bridges, but make those decisions because you just can't waste any time.
Okay, so Heidi, for someone who is brand new and maybe feels isolated, solopreneurship's lonely, like you mentioned, and just wants to start making some meaningful connections, what is your advice for really starting to cultivate that community?
Well, really just put yourself out there. You research, obviously, we have the wonderful source of social media to find networking groups. There's a ton of them in every community. Go and try them. If you are an introvert, which some business owners are, maybe set a goal of 1 or 2 a month. Where I went full blow and was like researching a whole bunch. I'm an extrovert, if you couldn't tell. But I went and actively found 2 a week. I like on a Tuesday, Thursday. Those seem to be good days for me for my scheduling, and just push myself out there to go introduce myself to people. The next time you go to that event, you now probably recognize 1 or 2 more people. So once you get through that first one, it's in a sense kind of rip that Band-Aid off of just getting over the hump of knowing no one possibly at that event. I mean, I moved to Omaha and literally knew no one. So if you're feeling that nervousness, I've been there. Like I'm sure a lot of you have as well. So it's just a matter of put yourself out there, give it a try, and the second time you go, it's going to be even better. So I think that's important. Being yourself, don't try to be somebody you're not, because people can sense it. And I don't know. If you haven't found yourself yet, per se, maybe just give yourself some time and really figure out what values are important to you. So when you go out to a networking event, that shows through instead of being, oh yeah, I like that too. Like, oh no, I've never gone to one of those. Like, you know, people,
Right.
they're like, oh, okay, cool. Why not? You know, like it's going to build a more natural conversation.
Yeah. It's also, I think it's exhausting to
Yeah.
be something you're
Yeah.
not, you know? So
hmm
if you're an introvert already and interaction is draining for you, it drains energy for you, it's going to be even more draining if you're
hmm
like trying to be something else and not just showing up as your true authentic self. So
Yeah.
just getting comfortable in your own skin is going to make that experience so much more enjoyable for you and just more natural for you as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I remember the first time I went to a networking event, I was so nervous about like, what do I say? Who I had not like being remote during the pandemic, starting this business, I didn't work with very many people like one on one. And just being in a room full of people was so intimidating to me. So I would recommend like my advice to someone maybe that feels the same is like, I have a side hustle or I'm just starting this. I don't really know what I'm going to say is you don't have to have it figured out. Make one or two connections that you can just start a conversation and talk about what you love or, you know, your family or just try to make a common ground connection. And then the conversation can flow from there. I remember I met Scott Alexander, who's actually in our networking group, and just like a calming, just a nice person to talk to. Then I instantly felt like, okay, you know, we're not all alone here. We can make some connections and, you know, it's the rest is kind of history. You kind of figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
it's
good
also
advice.
okay to, I think what's funny is like you feel like you have to show up and act like you're not nervous, you know, when
Yeah.
under the surface you're like freaking out. And it's actually okay to just tell people, like, this is my first one. I don't really know what to say. I don't really know what to talk about. It's okay to be that. I mean, if you feel comfortable being that vulnerable, it's okay. And what I found is being vulnerable with people actually like creates this instant connection because they feel like, wow, this person is truly genuine. And
hmm
I've just found like I sort of just form connections so much faster if I can just be like, hey, you know what? I feel totally out of my element here.
Yeah.
You
It's the
know?
trust almost is just instant when you bring that wall down
Yeah.
and just share what you're
Yeah.
actually feeling.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I would also say for new beginners, because I definitely struggled with this, and there are times where I still do, the perfectionism. You will never start your solopreneur journey if you just don't start. It's never going to be, quote, perfect the first time you launch or the first time you create something. You're going to get so much data from just starting, and then you can tweak it as you go. That is, I learned that, and I had to jump in, and I was so nervous. I'm like, I mean, by trade, I'm an artist. So, like, I want details to be so perfect. And then I'm just like, gotta let it go, Heidi. You just gotta let it go. So, and had I not, I don't think I wouldn't have been full time yet. So, it works 2 feet in, ladies and gents. Like you just got to jump in and you just have to go. But finding your people is also going to help you push the needle.
You mentioned you had a mentor at the jewelry store. Do you still have a mentor or do you really look for a community as far as like the groups that you're in?
I still talk to like religiously two of the people at the store. And when I had one of my biggest sales last spring, I called her and I was like, okay, so like, what do I do in this situation or this situation? And she also just kind of take a breath, Heidi. Like, you can do this. Clearly, they came to you. And I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So no, I still think mentorship is so important. And that can take some time to actually find maybe that right one. I was really lucky to have worked at that store and just still really kept those relationships alive. They are truly like a second family to me. And then the other one that works in this store, she's a graduate gemologist. And if I have any questions when it comes to stuff like that, I'm like, hey, Linda, I was like, what do I do? Like, what does this look like to you? And so she's been able to help me too. And also just genuine friends. So it's, I think, important to have somebody in your industry. Well, maybe I should say specifically for jewelry, for me, it's important to have someone that understands the
Mm-hmm.
jewelry trade. Maybe that doesn't apply to every business per se, but I hadn't had a community to lean on until I like really networked and found that group of women. So I think both. If you can find both, it's nice to have a quick call or a text to somebody for the mentorship, but also women outside of your industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
That's awesome. Well, I think this has been such an insightful conversation. Heidi, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience. We talked about, different types of networks. I think it's important to keep that in mind too. Like you need a network that is, supporting, referring to your business, sort of that business network community. Those are often really the first places to go, I think, when you're starting your business, because it's people that, hopefully you've already got a relationship with them. They like you, they like working with you, they know you do great work. So that's a really great place to start. And then having a community just to support you also might not necessarily be like working with you or working in your business, but just that tribe, just that emotional support and people that you can turn to. We talked about just getting yourself out there. It's really, everybody, I think, feels some degree of uneasiness when it comes to networking and meeting new people. But you just got to do it. You got to rip that Band-Aid off. But remember to be authentic when you do, and don't try to be something you're not, because it's going to be so much easier for you if you just show up as you. And you want to cultivate relationships that are true to you also, and that people that truly connect with you. And then if you feel like you can, it's really great to get vulnerable, and it's okay to let people know where you're at and that you're feeling a little nervous and you're not really sure how this works or what to talk about. And I think there's something really genuine about that, and forming relationships that way. We talked about a lot. I can keep going. We talked about not being picky, and if something's not a fit, if a networking group's not a fit, it's okay to bow out and go pursue something that's more of a better fit for you. That is A-okay, and something you should absolutely do. And then the last thing I had to add was, with the nervousness, one of the things that I think I fell into this trap of thinking, who's going to care? Who's going to care about what I'm doing? Who's going to want to get to know me? They've got their own lives and their own business, and they already have all these connections. Like, why would they care? But if you're going to networking events or community events, it's important to remember that those people are there because they want to meet new people. They want to meet you.
Such a good point.
Keeping that in my mind as I'm going to those events helps me a lot, because I definitely get stuck in that trap, and then I kind of freeze, when it comes to getting it out there. So really awesome chat today, Heidi. If people are interested in some sparkly diamonds or other jewels, where can they get a hold of you to help them out with that?
Yeah, sure. You can go to my website, which is HeidiMariePrivateJeweler.com, and there's a contact form that Kylie helped me out with. Thank you. You can go there. Otherwise, I'm on Instagram and Facebook under Heidi Marie Private Jeweler as well. You can see pictures of my work, the type of work that I like to do, and if it's a good fit or I have a question, feel free to reach out via DM, email. My phone number's on there too. So lots of places.
Awesome. Well, we'll be sure to put those links in our show notes for viewers if you're listening and you want to go get yourself some new bling. But thank you so much, Heidi. Again, it was really great chatting with you, and thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
so
Such a pleasure.
much.
Bye.